that plant?
It's oregano. Your gardener gave it to me.
You're very popular.
I just try to be myself.
Bueno, pues amigos de la charla, tenemos que contarles una anécdota, Carlos Quintero y yo. Como verán, mi voz no es la mejor. Vengo enfermísima de un viaje a Buenos Aires y una pasada de contrabando por Lima. Carlos Quintero.
Bueno, Daniela, muchas gracias por invitarme hoy al podcast. Porque casi siempre tú eres la protagonista de este podcast cuando es de temas de cine. Pero bueno, primero que nada me alegra verte de vuelta después de tu viaje porque fuiste hasta el sur de América.
Gracias, Carlito. A nuestra Sudamérica.
A nuestra Sudamérica. Y pues tristemente llegaste un poco afectada, pero bien llegaste salva de vuelta.
Sí, exacto. Bastante afectada con una voz que no me reconozco. Caray. Sí, bastante enferma porque, bueno, llegamos a Buenos Aires hace una semana. Me enfermé en Buenos Aires. Con la diferencia de los horarios, el poco sueño y mucho trabajo, laringitis. Y luego paso por Lima, por mi fría, gris y húmeda Lima, y terminé de rematarla. Así que esa es parte de la historia de mi voz en este momento, de mi voz súper sexy para el podcast.
Pero nada, fuiste a una misión bastante interesante, donde pues obviamente tuvimos la oportunidad, como este año, y te lo agradezco enormemente, por esos invitadazos que has tenido la oportunidad de convocar a la charla. Y pues un personaje que no podía dejarse a un lado y tocó ir hasta Buenos Aires, Argentina, para poder tenerlo con nosotros, ¿no?
Tocó, Carlitos, ir hasta Buenos Aires, Argentina. Yo, pues para cubrir el junket, el press junket y la premiere de la película The Two Popes, Los Dos Papas, de Netflix. Una de las películas que ya estamos viendo desde ahora. Pues está quedando nominada, ¿no?, para todas las premiaciones del próximo año. Ya ha recibido nominaciones para los Golden Globes y también para pues los premios SAG. Y se vislumbra también como una de las grandes protagonistas en las nominaciones para el Oscar el próximo año. Llegué a Buenos Aires para entrevistar al elenco y a su director. Pero tuvimos a una persona muy especial en la charla, Anthony McCarten. Anthony McCarten es el escritor, el guionista de Los Dos Papas, de Two Popes, pero no solamente de Two Popes. Anthony McCarten también escribió The Theory of Everything. ¿Te acuerdas? La premiada The Theory of Everything.
Wow.
Escribió The Darkest Hour y, por supuesto, escribió Bohemian Rhapsody. Así que más o menos tenemos ya una idea del calibre de este guionista espectacular que ahora nos está ofreciendo The Two Popes, Los Dos Papas, basado en no solamente en una idea, sino en mucha investigación para poder descifrar los encuentros de estos dos papas, el saliente y el entrante. Una película fascinante.
Y bueno, retomando los títulos que acabas de mencionar, son películas muy investigativas, donde hay, unos personajes detrás de ella, hay que involucrar todos los elementos para conectar y forjar una historia, ¿no? Entonces, y vemos que es muy exitoso el trabajo de él reconstruyendo esta serie de episodios, ¿no? Ya
es un ejercicio que ha hecho muchas veces y un ejercicio que ha sido premiado por la Academia.
Totalmente,
así que esperamos pues que este sea el caso también con esta película. Y les presentamos, antes de presentarles vamos a contarles la anécdota. Carlitos Quintero me visita la noche de Thanksgiving y me dice: Daniela, yo le digo, no puedo llevarme todo el equipo para el podcast porque es pesadísimo. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Tengo la entrevista con Anthony McCarten. ¿Cómo lo hacemos, Carlitos? Y Carlitos me dice, vamos a utilizar este micrófono.
Un micrófono portátil, mucho más ligero, fácil de llevar en el equipaje.
¡Exacto!
Con dispositivo para conexión en el teléfono. Practicamos.
Y practicamos más o menos hora y media.
Lo entendió muy bien Daniela.
Lo entendí muy bien, estuvimos practicando. Bueno, esto se pone así, asá, no, le mides esto, le
Daniela
mides el otro.
Feliz.
Yo feliz con el aparatito porque es state of the art, tenemos que decir, es un
Totalmente.
aparatito state of the art.
Totalmente.
Los dos nos estamos riendo porque sabemos qué es lo que pasa.
El desenlace.
El desenlace. Pues amigos de la charla, llego a Buenos Aires, abro mi maleta y el micrófono no está. No está, lo había dejado en casa, en Los Ángeles. No.
En Buenos Aires.
O sea, estoy
hasta
en
Los Ángeles.
Exacto. Bueno, pues no voy a decir, la reacción fue de frustración, de amargura, de querer darme 2 cachetadas a mí misma.
Hubo contenido explícito, me imagino.
Contenido explícito. Y luego, por supuesto, ¿qué hago? Pues voy llorando donde Carlos y le digo, Carlos, me olvidé del micrófono. O sea, lo dejé en la mesa, ahí en Los Ángeles. Empieza la búsqueda de dicho micrófono en Buenos Aires. No existe ni siquiera en Buenos Aires. Nadie lo tiene, nadie lo alquila, nadie lo vende. Ya he dicho, es una tecnología state of the art. Y pues resignada a no hacer la entrevista, con mucha pena, con mucho dolor, con mucha amargura y muy decepcionada de mí misma, me voy esa noche a un espectáculo que se llama Rojo Tango, el mejor espectáculo de tango de Buenos Aires. Ahí está el elenco de la película de The Two Popes, está el director, están los actores y también está Anthony, que me ve y me dice, vamos a hacerlo con los teléfonos. Y le digo, Anthony, yo no puedo hacer eso. Y me dice, no, sí lo puedes hacer. Vamos a hacer la entrevista con los teléfonos, no te preocupes. Así que vamos a tener esta entrevista con Anthony McCarten gracias a su idea, viendo un espectáculo de tango que me dice, nada, no importa, vamos a hacerlo con el teléfono y nos va a salir bien. ¿Y sabes qué? Salió bastante bien, Carlitos.
Muy bien, el tipo crack, porque realmente escuché el audio y tuve que hacer 2, 3, 4 clics durante todo el contenido y se escucha perfecto. O sea que de pronto no es la misma calidad, pero se escucha correctamente para que alguien pueda entender lo que dice, ¿no?
Así que bueno, después de todo este preámbulo y de toda esta historia que espero hayan disfrutado o por lo menos que pues hayan sentido mi angustia un poquito, amigos de la charla, los dejamos con la entrevista a punta de iPhone con Anthony McCarten, escritor, guionista de la gran película The Two Popes, Los Dos Papas. Anthony McCarten, thank you so much for being here. Gracias.
Well, wonderful to be here.
Y gracias por aceptar hacer este podcast en estas condiciones.
No, it's a thrill to be here in Argentina.
Esta historia sobre los dos papas nos cuenta una historia que realmente nosotros no sabíamos, la amistad entre el Papa Francisco y el Papa Benedicto. ¿Cómo te interesas en esa historia y cómo es que comienzas a averiguar, a investigar más sobre estos dos?
Well, it was a very hot day in Rome 4 years ago, and I went to St. Peter's Square, and as fate should have it, Pope Francis was giving an open-air mass, and the square was full of people, thousands of people, some, I guess, Catholic, but not all, people drawn to him as a world figure, an interesting, inspirational leader.
Este es el papa que le gusta a los no católicos.
Exactly, yeah, no. His fame and his appeal goes far beyond the Catholics. So I was raised Catholic myself, so I knew a thing or two about this pope, and I also knew there was another pope, a shadow pope, the German Ratzinger, who had retired. And I pulled out my phone and I had a question in my mind: when was the last time a pope resigned? And the answer came up on my phone. I couldn't believe it. 700 years since a pope has resigned. And the writer in me woke up and had a question: why would this pope have resigned? You don't do it. It's never done. Almost never done. There's only been 3 resignations in the entire 2,000 years of the Catholic Church. Why did it happen? And the trying to answer that question was the beginning of this journey.
You are Irish, right? Or so it's a Catholic nation. New Zealand, okay. Yeah, well, Catholic nation.
Irish Catholic stock. Yeah.
Tú eres, bueno, de Nueva Zelanda. pero de los antepasados irlandeses, una nación muy católica. Como católico, empiezas a cuestionarte todo esto en ese momento. ¿Cómo empiezas?
Well, the journey then became one of researching the histories of these two men. And the more I dug down, the more I became curious about their positions. One was a progressive, one was a liberal. One was a progressive, one was a conservative. And I wanted to create a debate between them to see if they could find a common ground. And this became the center of the project because I think in the world today, we have a lot of anger. People are very divided between these two positions.
Polarized, muy polarizado todo.
Yeah, very polarized. And so it was an attempt to write an intelligent debate about that global question and global issue.
Esta película, cuando la empiezas a ver, dice que está inspirada en eventos de la vida real. ¿Qué eventos fueron esos y cómo te enteraste, por ejemplo, de esta reunión de estos dos papas, por ejemplo, que nadie sabía?
Well, in 2013, it is true that Pope Benedict resigned, and very quickly a conclave was called to elect the new pope. And Pope Francis, then Cardinal Bergoglio, was elected. This is all true, we know it. Their stated positions on various issues are accurately presented in this film. When I did the research, I was also interested in the fact that Cardinal Bergoglio, when he reached 75, applied to Rome to resign, to retire.
Lo cual me parece fascinante. It's a fascinating part of the story because nobody knew this. ¿Quién se hubiera imaginado que el Papa iba a querer resignar antes de ser escogido Papa?
Yeah, well, yeah, at 75 years old, most people want to retire and, live in a small cottage in the countryside or whatever they want to do. So he wrote twice to the Vatican to resign, and his letters were not answered. And then again, the writer in me said, "There's a story here. This is interesting," because when Benedict resigned, he must have known there was a strong chance of Francis Bergoglio
Absolutely
coming in. Why? Because at the previous conclave where Benedict was elected, Francis came second.
Ellos fueron competencia muy cercana cuando Ratzinger fue elegido Papa.
Yeah. So it was then me as an artist saying, what would happen if when the Pope had not replied to these two resignation requests, if Bergoglio got on an aeroplane and went to Benedict and said, what's going on? Why are you not responding to these letters? And this is where I speculate and create this drama. But it is, I would claim, still truthful. It's based on deep research and their positions. And so what I've done is take their isolated positions and put them into a dialogue. And that's the artistry of the invention of this piece.
Anthony, pero ¿hubo en verdad una reunión entre esos dos papas en algún momento?
Yeah, there were meetings between them, but we don't know what happened in those meetings. So
I guess everybody can speculate. Creo que todos podemos especular las conversaciones que tomaron lugar, ¿no?
Yeah, exactly. And it's highly unlikely that their conversations were like the ones I have. But I had a specific purpose to put their stated positions into a debate based on the rules that go right back to Socrates and Plato, the dialogues, where you have a thesis, an antithesis, and then you put them into contest and you create, hopefully, synthesis. And that's my naive wish for the world, that we can somehow still achieve synthesis between people who are battling with each other.
There's a lot of that in the world right now.
There's a lot of it, yeah. I think there's a real crisis of not listening. And one of the most powerful moments in the movie is when the first third of the movie there's an argument and it becomes very passionate. And then they're like two fighters have been punching each other and they are worn out. And they retire to a small room and they say, let's just be silent. And suddenly the movie falls completely silent. And it is in this moment of silence where they first start to make the steps to understanding each other. That's when they listen. They start to really begin a dialogue through silence. And I think that's being lost in the world today.
Tienes razón, estamos bombardeados de información, ¿no? Y nunca nos callamos para escuchar al otro.
Yeah, the great poet W.B. Yeats, the Irish poet, who I'm very fond of, he had a wonderful poem in which he said, the best lack all conviction and the worst are full of a passionate intensity. And I think there's something in that. There's so much passionate intensity happening in the extreme camps, and I still believe the majority of us, the silent majority in the middle, are the future. It's the only way forward. So we have to somehow reclaim the middle ground.
Middle ground.
Yeah.
I think that's the key word. Yo creo que esa es la clave. Un happy medium, como se dice, ¿no? Estar en el medio y dialogar.
Yeah.
Vemos también una amistad entre Ratzinger y Bergoglio, entre los dos papas, una amistad que perdura a través del tiempo hasta hoy. And that is very rare, that friendship. Y una amistad que es bastante rara porque tienen ideas muy distintas. ¿Cómo te enteraste de la amistad de ellos? ¿Eso es verdad?
Yeah, well, they start off adversarial, but then through the course of the movie, they grow to have sympathy for each other and understanding of each other. And that is the basis of friendship, is sympathy and understanding. And then they find they have some things in common. They have, who else would know what it would be like to be in charge of 1.4 billion people? Only the other person sitting across the table from them. In my research, there was lovely details I discovered when Bergoglio became Pope. He discovered on the menu of the Vatican an Argentinian dish that he particularly loved. It was a pastry or something. I can't tell you what it was. And he ordered a plate of these, and the first thing he did with it was run over to the convent where Benedict was and bring him a plate of this food. Oh. I think Fernando even shot the sequence. He didn't use it in the finished film, but just to show that there was this reaching out to each other. And we have plenty of images of them praying together, watching TV together. We can't see what's on the TV. It's probably news. In my movie, they're watching the World Cup final with Argentina, Germany.
A brilliant scene, una escena brillante, verlos a los dos enfrentados los equipos y ellos viendo, me encantó.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
There is fanaticism in every religion and in every faith. And Catholics tend to see the Pope as someone that is perfect because as a representative of Peter or God on earth. However, you make Pope Francis, both popes, extremely human, and you show their big mistakes because everybody has big mistakes. Everybody's human, right? And I think that even made it even more charismatic at the end, because you show their doubts, you show the times in which they cannot listen to the voice of God. And I just wanted to ask you, why do you put, because there's a lot of emphasis in that part, and a lot of people, think that they're perfect. Okay, in Spanish now.
We have news for them. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Well, when I started writing this as a play first, I had a title called The Confession, and I knew that it would involve two men coming to terms with their past and the fact that they are flawed and that they made mistakes, and some serious mistakes along their journey. Pope Francis, to this day, never misses an opportunity to say that he is a sinner. And he adds that this is not a turn of phrase, it's not a metaphor. He said, I am a sinner, I have sinned. So that began my journey into looking into their pasts. And my reason for doing so was that I'm very interested in the idea of whether sin, disqualifies you as a leader or as an individual, or whether if you come to terms with it, it could make you an even better leader, less judgmental of other people, more understanding of our humanity and our weaknesses and our flaws.
And changes of opinion y el cambio de opiniones también. Eso es importante.
It's very, very important. I think one of the qualities I would want in any leader is the ability to think they are wrong. They could be wrong. There's a wonderful quote of Cromwell's when he wrote to the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Cromwell wrote, "I beseech thee in the bowels of Christ, think it possible you may be wrong." And when I read that, I thought that should be set in stone and should be above the doorway of every leader. Think it possible you may be wrong, because we have so many leaders who are so arrogant and self-righteous, and it gets us all into trouble. Generally, humanity pays a high price for that kind of piety.
Hay una fascinación por el Papa Francisco, definitivamente, hacia todos los que no son católicos, ¿no? Yo creo que es su sencillez, su humildad. Pero cuando tú empiezas a hacer tu investigación para esta película, ¿qué fue lo que a ti más te llamó la atención? ¿Qué fue lo que a ti más te fascinó del Papa Francisco?
Well, I have a theory about Pope Francis that I present in this movie, that he is a humble man by act of will, not by nature. And that every day he gets up, he has to play this role. And this role is now probably quite natural to him. But it wasn't the way he was born, as far as I can tell. And speaking to you now in Argentina, there are many who even knew him back then and called him the man who never smiled. He had a reputation for being intolerant and authoritarian.
Wow.
And then he made mistakes, and he was cast out of the Jesuit order, as many Argentinians know. And he had to reassess his whole life. He had to look into himself and come to terms with the fact that he was a sinner and had made mistakes. This period, they call it the dark night of the soul, this wonderful phrase, first coined by St. John of the Cross. He clearly underwent a dark night of the soul, and he rebuilt himself. And for a dramatist, this is paradise, because we're always looking for stories where someone is able to overcome their weaknesses, face them. It's like the legendary story of killing the dragon, where the dragon is your bad self, and then you redeem yourself, and it's a story of redemption. And Francis, I think, some people know of that journey that he's undergone. Many presume he's just always been this way. But I find his story more inspirational because he's had to work at it. And,
Definitely. Especialmente cuando estamos hablando de aborto, del homosexualismo, de matrimonio entre homosexuales. Él no nació con esas ideas, ¿no?
Yeah, no. He not so long ago, he called, homosexuality the devil's work, and then you can see an evolution in his thinking, and then a few years later, short years later, he's saying God loves you the way you are and I love you the way you are. So he's evolving very quickly in real time.
At 70 something, a los 70 y tantos sigue evolucionando.
82 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
82.
Yeah. So, watch this space, because every time he opens his mouth, he says something that you don't expect, which is so refreshing for an organization that for so many years and even centuries never seemed to evolve.
Anthony, se hablan de nominaciones ya para el Oscar. ¿Te estás preparando? Of course, there's Oscar buzz for this film, which is amazing. Are you getting ready for it?
I try not to buy into that, because it's distracting, and you can never work out if you have a chance or not. I would love to see Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce and the director Fernando Meirelles recognized for their work, and whatever should happen to me, I place in the Lord's hands.
I think you will. Yo creo que también. I'll see you in that red carpet for sure.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Anthony.
Vengo must remember that you are not God.